you for joining us tonight. A special welcome to you new folks. For those that don't know me, I'm Bryant, Chairman of the Berks County Patriots. Linda is going to open our meeting with prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Linda?
Dear Lord, we recently observed the anniversary of one of the most tragic events in our history. It was a day of profound sorrow. Lord God, one thing positive came out of that event, and that was how our whole country came together in our grief. How soon we forget. Our nation is in such turmoil now, and what can we possibly do to make us join again? We ask for your guidance and strength to overcome these evils and make us one nation under God once again. Lord, we forgive our enemies as you forgive us. But these enemies are pushing us to our limits of endurance. We must overcome them. And with your help, we will. It may take a battle, though, but with you as our leader, we will come out on top and have this great country healed. We will put prayer back in schools. We will put prayer back in our homes and in our hearts. We ask your blessings on each and every one that came out tonight. We ask for blessings for our speakers tonight and give them the weapons they need to guide their flock. We ask for blessings for our police as they try to protect us. We ask for your blessings on our military here and beyond. We know you hear us, Lord God. You have protected us from the virus thing and so far from the rioting that is going on in other parts of the country. We cannot imagine what the Christian people in those areas are suffering. Please protect them. It is a case of good versus evil. Evil will not prevail. We will fight to keep our constitutional laws and our godly laws in force. We will win. We must win. Everyone that believes God will help us win, please say amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Linda. We will start our program shortly. A few BCP comments and folks, we had a fantastic meeting last month. Outstanding. We have a great meeting tonight. And what I want to tell you is that we owe it to you. You're the people that come to these meetings. You're the people that sit in these seats. You are the ones that are making BCP great. So give yourself a big hand. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to repeat some things that I said last month because they need repeating, but also I want some things on official record. COVID-19, like I like to call it, the elephant in the room. We have taken some precautions. We did space chairs to some extent. We have wipes, we have soaps, masks, we did temperature reading, no selling hot dogs, no free food, kitchen closed. And folks, we understand if anyone here feels uncomfortable and you need to leave, you need to take care of yourself. You're in charge of yourself. But as I said, if you need to leave, we feel comfortable to do so. You may remember July 15th, Governor Wolf modified his dictates, as I like to call them. One of the things that he did was reduce the indoor capacity for meetings like this. He reduced it from 225 to 25. Now, looking around the room tonight, I think we all can agree we have more than 25. Well, that is, if you didn't use Common Core. But however, are we in violation? Absolutely correct. We are not in violation for two reasons. One, I want to repeat this as I did last month. Health Secretary Levin was asked about Governor Wolf marching shoulder to shoulder with protesters. No social distancing. Also, there were many other protests with no mask or social distancing. She further said, Levin said, the governor has always said that the people have the right to protest and to demonstrate, and the right to free speech. Levin also said, we are not restricting people's right to protest. Well, folks, our general meetings are to be considered peaceful protests against Governor Wolf's unconstitutional. So welcome to tonight's peaceful protest. At the end of May, Berks County Patriot said, enough's enough. We're not going to put up with this anymore. So June 18th, we opened up for our first meeting. First meeting in months. No one else would open up. The Berks County Patriots took this position because we knew that Governor Wolf, what he was doing was unconstitutional. He was violating our rights. And guess what, folks? On Monday, this was confirmed. A federal judge specifically cited Governor Wolf, quote, group gathering limitations, unquote. U.S. District Judge William Strockman wrote that the Constitution sets certain lines that may not be crossed, even in an emergency. Actions taken by the defendants crossed those lines. That's Wolf and Company. It is the duty of the court to declare these actions unconstitutional. He also noted that Wolf's orders violated components of the First and 14th Amendment, such as the freedom of assembly, due process, and equal protection clause. Folks, this isn't a victory for us, it's a victory for our Constitution. Okay, now on to BCP business. First of all, I want to acknowledge some candidates. Let's see, I know Vince Cagliaro is in the back. Vince, wait. Vince is over in the back. Vince is running for the PA House 127th District. Folks, it's important that you stop by their tables and talk with them, see what they're about. Now, they're also, a lot of them are going to be here next month as well. Annette Baker, I know, is here, candidate for the PA 7th District. Let's see. Jim Oswald here. Is anyone else here? Any other candidates? You guys back there? No? That's it? Okay. That's fine. Let's see. My insurance guy's on here? Oh, wow. Oath keepers. All right, friendly oath keepers. Wave your hand or do something back there. Okay? That's great. Welcome. We also have Joe Farley is here. He has a table in the back. He can talk to you about his community defense group at CDG, as he has it abbreviated as. And also, Brent Potegger is not here tonight, but his wife and children are. I'm sorry, what is your first name? I've got it again.
Claire.
Claire?
Yep.
Okay, great. Claire is back there. They have a petition, and it's a petition to prevent the removal of the Christopher Columbus statue in Bethlehem. This is a counter to a petition that wants to remove it. Please stop and see them and sign a petition. Folks, things are crazy. Everybody needs to take a couple steps back. Take a deep breath and count to 10. Because, folks, we're heading down a steep slope that we may not be able to come back from. Okay. You've heard this, you regular people heard this before. We are looking for locations to put 4x8 signs to promote Berks County Patriots. We have 6 locations in Berks County. We'd like to have more. If you have a location that you can allow us to put a sign on, we'll build it and put our banner on. See Linda. Now, you may not have a place to put a 4x8 sign, but all of you can put a sign like this. We paid over $5 for these. We're not asking for $5. We're only asking for a donation, maybe even $2. The most important thing is that this sign leaves, that you take these with you. We want these scattered throughout Berks County. Please take them with you tonight. Now we also have, let me see, okay, you can buy 50-50 raffle tickets. We will be doing that at the end. You can also buy gun raffle tickets. I believe we have a Stroger P3500 12-gauge shotgun. They're only $10. By the way, for home defense, a shotgun is fantastic. Believe me, you can't miss. That doesn't mean you don't have anything else, but that's great. Okay, here. You don't need to be present to win. And last month, we had 2 winners, and one of them was right here. Shirley, stand up, say hi. And we had another winner, Christine Burgess. I don't know, is Christine here? Christine not here? But we had 2 winners. Congratulations, both of them. What? Is she here? No? Okay. As a reminder, we use these raffles to help offset some of our costs. Our total revenue comes from what happens at these meetings and donations. Last month, I had to do something I really did not like to do. I had to tell you about our financial situation. I had to ask you for donations. A couple of days later, we wound up sending out an email for donations. As I said, I really did not like doing it, but it was necessary. I want to tell you, though, that the results so far are favorable. And if they continue like that, we will be at least turning the corner for the next couple of months. So I want to thank all of you that contributed. Hopefully that it does keep coming in for a little while longer. So thank you so much. And I mean that sincerely. Okay, there will be a Trump rally this Saturday, the 19th, 12 to 1 o'clock at the overpass at Berkshire Boulevard down from Kissinger's Church. In the back of Shop Supply Missing, parking at Kissinger's Church. You can see our website or see Linda. Just come and show up. We have American flags, so we have Trump flags and different things. We have all kinds of things put up at the bypass on the railings there. So please join us. It's only for an hour. Let's see here. I got a note I need to pass on. There's also a Stand Up for America concert in Allentown, September 26th. Check our website for further details. Veterans Picks. In December, we honor our veterans, and we also have a Christmas party. And one of the things we do every year is ask you, if you're a veteran, if you know a veteran, family friend, or whatever, give a picture to us if you would. We then put that on a video, and then we play all the veterans with their name and so forth on it. So if you have that, please bring it next month. Give it to Linda. Helen Min, who's handling that with Sally, will be here next month, and give it to them. So that would be great if you would. Okay, Rod Miller. Rod Miller is a BCP founding father. He's been here forever. He's also been on the legislative chairman for years. He wrote something about a month ago that we placed on some of his seats. We also put it on the website. Please, you may not have time to read it tonight. Please take it with you. Read it 2 or 3 times. I think you'll find it very important to do so. I appreciate if you take that with you. And thank you, Rod, for doing that. Facebook. You can help us. Only thing you need to do is go to our Facebook page and like us, and tell your friends to do the same thing as well. Lehigh Valley commentator. Otto's not here tonight. Otto, are you here? I didn't think I saw you. Okay. Lehigh Valley commentator. If you have anything you'd like to write, we can get it in here for you. We can put it either under your name or under the Berks County Patriots. This is free to put in. It's fantastic. We have maybe about 100 of them back. Please take one with you, read it, see what it's about, and hopefully you might want to put something in it. Okay, BCP board elections. I need to read this per bylaw. Okay, per our bylaws, it is our duty to announce the following. The third Thursday in September at our general meeting, the election committee shall announce that nominations will be open from the first day in October to October 31st. Nominations will be accepted in writing, email, or U.S. mail to the chairman of the election committee and posted promptly on the BCP website. It is a responsibility of the nominating entry to ensure that their intent is communicated to the election committee and shall have their name and email available to be displayed on the BCP website. Self-nominations are permitted. Folks, we have 13 board positions. 4 of these are vacant and 5 are up for re-election. We need your help. Some board members prefer to cancel at both ends and will not be able to continue. If you have an interest in being on the board, running for the board, or on one of the committees, please see Linda in the back or any committee person. Okay. General election, November 3rd. I don't have to tell you how important that election is. I don't have to tell you that you need to vote. However, what is equally important is that your vote counts. And one of the ways to ensure that, to the extent of other choices, is that you vote in person, that you go to the poll and vote in person. Now, there are some that will need to use an absentee ballot. Hey, that's fine. They have visual ailments, they cannot get to the poll, or they'll be out of town. No problem. However, please, don't use mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots, by the way, are totally different than absentee ballots. Mail-in ballots, anybody can use them for any reason whatsoever. There are many horror stories, besides getting lost and all kinds of shenanigans. Has anyone heard of granny farming? Granny farming, like grandmother, granny farming? Anybody? No hands? No hands? One person. Oh. Okay. 2. Okay, great. Well, you 2 are better than, or no more than I could hide in. Okay, until I found this. Okay. Granny farming. It's a practice in which political operatives seek out massive groups of senior citizens to help them request mail-in ballots and then assist them in filling out their ballot when they arrive. Now, that seems nice. That seems, really it is. I mean, you help people out, maybe can't help themselves. Certainly seems nice. I can understand that. Can anybody in this room, okay? Now, you got someone in a nursing home, hey, please help them. Okay, you're a relative, and so forth. That's fine. But someone who's not a relative seeking this out and doing that, there's definitely problems. It gets worse. Granny farming is one form of a controversial voting mechanism known as ballot harvesting, where a third party is allowed to deliver or submit a ballot on behalf of another. Just the News, which is a reporting organization, reported there's a case of a woman who kept a notebook showing thousands of interactions describing how she'd go and collect ballots from seniors and then deliver them to paid political campaigns. I don't know if ballot harvesting is legal in Pennsylvania, but then again, laws are broken all the time, so I'm sure it's being done. Now, some of you may say you don't want to go to the polls because of COVID-19. Folks, going to the poll to vote is less of a risk than you going to the supermarket for a half an hour, or are you going for a doctor or a dentist or a big box store, maybe even here tonight, out to eat, any place where you're in public. This is a civic duty. This is important. Please, please vote in person. And let me see. Now, there are also other concerns which I can't get into. There's drop-off boxes and universal mail-in ballots. Those are two horror stories. That's for another time, possibly. If our country ever goes to an all mail-in ballot system, the integrity of our election system will be lost, and possibly our country as well. And finally, we have many challenges ahead. As Linda said, our country is in turmoil. The presidency is being attacked from all quarters. And our country is more divided than at any time since the Civil War. For those of us that believe in the Constitution, our flag, and what our founding fathers espoused, need to join together. Need to join together and do our part. Please. I personally believe that now, today, we are fighting for the soul and the survival of our country. I know there's many others believe that as well. So please, you need to do whatever you can to help. Some of the things that I'll rattle off here quickly. You make phone calls, emails, social media, donations, door knocking, meetings like these, signs on your property, spread the word, help a campaign. Folks, we need everybody on the playing field. Nobody on the sidelines. No bench warmers. Please help. Thank you, and God bless you all. Sally?
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to say really quickly before I do my story. I got a thing today that says, Trump wants you to mail in this ballot. You know what I did? I opened it up, I wrote on it, I will go to the polls and vote. I sealed it up, I put a stamp on it, and I sent it back. This is a good story, and this is what our country is all about. This happened in February of 1940. It's written by a lady by the name of Edith, and she lives in Sarasota, Florida. By morning of February 27, 1940, the luxury liner SS Hamburg had been at sea for 24 hours. My parents, brother, and I were heading farther and farther into the Atlantic away from Germany. My grandparents had accompanied us on the long trip from Schweinfurt to Bavaria to Hamburg. We cried bitterly at the time of our final parting because I feared we'd never see each other again. My grandfather tried to reassure me things will return to normal. You'll be visiting us soon, you'll see. At the pier in Bremerhaven, we'd said our last hurried goodbyes and then departed on a calm sea. By the next morning, the weather had changed and the Atlantic was displaying its awesome might with powerful winds and fierce waves and swept over the bulkhead. I prayed the captain wouldn't be deterred by the storm and returned to Germany. Even at age 9, I knew each day brought us closer to freedom. My mother had told us there were no signs on the store windows reading Jews are forbidden in America, and public places like schools, libraries, and swimming pools were open to everyone. In Germany, I learned that I could only watch while other children enjoyed those kind of things. Even my classmate Ange, who vowed we would be best friends always, eventually joined Hitler's youth group. I had to do it, she told me. I didn't want to be an outcast. From that day on, she would cross the street to avoid me. Yet on the night before our ship's departure, an envelope was pushed under our door. In it was a picture of Ange, who had written, "Remember me," on the back. And I still have that picture. In time, black uniformed SS officers picked up my father for questioning. He was detained and jailed, and after he was released, our final immigration papers had arrived. Our American cousins had sent us visas and accepted the responsibility for our welfare until my father could find a job. We finally met with them when we disembarked at the pier in Manhattan. Since they spoke no German, I couldn't even talk to these strangers who saved our lives. Luckily, my parents knew some English. They rented 2 rooms for us with another refugee family. We lived there until my parents found their own apartment, and a day after we arrived, I was already enrolled in a public school. The neighborhood quickly became aware of my existence since one Sunday when my mother asked me to mail a letter at the corner mailbox. In Germany, mailboxes were red, and I accidentally pulled the fire alarm. The fire trucks came within minutes. Some kids who had seen me and knew I couldn't speak English ran and found a neighbor who spoke German. She translated the reason for this disaster to the firemen, who all laughed, but by then I was crying. One of the men put his arm around me, wiped my tears away with his handkerchief. The translator explained that the firemen had to make a report that there would be no fine. They even joked that this would be their welcoming gift to me. Everything was so different in America. A new friend acquainted me with the 5 and dime store, and we shared black and white Sunday at the ice cream counter. I couldn't understand why it was called a Sunday if we could buy it any day of the week. Other friends treated me to egg creams, chocolate syrup, and milk swished together with seltzer at the candy store. Movies cost a dime, but the lady who took the tickets always waved me in when my friends explained I was a refugee with no money. By summer, I was speaking and reading English fluently. I even discovered the Sunday funnies. No longer on the outside, I now ran with the gang. My childhood had truly begun, and I was learning to love America. This is what it's about. This is what we're about, and this is what we've got to stick to. Thank you.
Sally, want to take the rest of your stuff? Folks, up next is Pastor Tony Perez. I actually was supposed to be doing an intro, someone else was. But I spoke to Tony, and he says, Sam, he says, you know what? Just introduce a little bit, because I like to talk about myself first. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Pastor Tony Perez, we're very thankful that he's here. He began his studies at the Calvary Baptist Seminary in the fall of 1986. He graduated with a Master's of Divinity in May of 1990. He also received a diploma in counseling in 1991 from the CBPS. Pastor and his wife Jessica have 4 children. They started Bethany Catholic Church in their home during the summer of 1990. A small Bible study group grew into what now has become a wonderful family of faith. To God be the glory. Let's all welcome Pastor Tony Perez. And folks, try to keep the chatter down. Thank you.
It's good to be here tonight. Thank you so much for the invitation. My family and I moved to Reading 30 years ago. And we came as missionaries to start a church. The Hispanic community was growing, and we were asked by our mother church to come out and plant a church. We raised our 4 children here, as they had mentioned, and my first granddaughter will be born in November, and she'll be raised here as well. So I'm excited about being a grandfather coming up. A little bit about that. We learned early on that we fit right in verse challenge. I realize deep down I'm such a weak. I'm a little tight with my money and approval. And so I have a nice mix that fits right into the area. At least my family tells me I do. And so we came to Reading, and we began the church in our living room, right in the city of Reading, back behind the old IGA on Butler Street. Some of you might know the area. And we started with a lady who was 68 back then, and now the church, we have over 60 families, averaging close to 200 people every Sunday. So we're excited about what God is doing in Reading. Our church, similar to our family, when my parents came to America, they came as migrant workers. My grandfather worked in picking blueberries and New Jersey and the tomatoes, and they would live in Philadelphia back in the mid-1950s. And so we obviously, all of my cousins, we were all born in Philadelphia, so we all bleed green. We're 4 for 4 Philly team. So if you like the Eagles, I like you. If you don't like the Eagles, if you like the Cowboys, I won't be back. But we grew up in Philadelphia, our family, and my parents, most Hispanic families, as soon as they get here, they're told they need to register to vote Democrat because that's the party that helps them. And my dad, because he was never a follower, so he researched it and he became a very strong conservative early on. So I grew up in a very conservative home because we believe in values of voting. And so we don't vote for a person. It's irrelevant. I mean, Mickey Mouse could be running and I would vote for him if he had my values. So it doesn't matter to me who the guy at the top of the ticket is, but what the platform is. And the values that we espouse as a family and as a church, we probably have helped steer the ship of our congregation from left to right quite a bit. Last Sunday we had Stephen Ramos. I don't know if you've been here. Stephen Ramos is the head of Latinos for Trump in Allentown. He spoke at our church last Sunday in our adult Sunday school. But we believe in the values of obviously pro-life. We are 100% I have other values, but that's, some people say, well, you're a one-values voter. I may be. I just saw today an ad on the way of heading toward Philly, and I saw a big ad that said, I'm a Republican, I'm pro-life, and I'm voting for Biden. And I thought, you can't be pro-life if you're voting for Biden. You might think you're pro-life, but you can't be. If you hate President Trump enough to vote for a pro-abortion candidate, you are not pro-life. And so I saw that ad and I said, I told my mom, my mother lives with us, she's 80. I told Mom, I said, can you believe that? I said, that guy is not pro-life, I don't care what he says. So we believe in pro-life. Obviously a lot of, most Hispanics are pro-life. If we would capitalize on that. We also, the value of marriage. We believe marriage is between one man and one woman for one lifetime. That's what we believe. That's what we push. We believe in the value of hard work. The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. And so we push that value. And we have a great group of people in our church. And during this whole crisis, we had only a handful of people that lost their jobs and were unemployed for a long period of time. Most of them kept their jobs and kept working, which is exciting. Our offerings have gone up. Our attendance is just as good as it was before the COVID, so we're thrilled about that. We believe in the value of law and order. We believe that, and most Hispanics believe in that value. If you see the surveys on TV that they show, African American and Hispanics see law and order as a huge element because most of them live in cities. And so law and order is a big value for us. Israel, obviously, is a big value for us, the nation of Israel. God tells us to honor Israel. If we honor Israel, God will honor us. So we believe in that value. We believe parenting and education belongs to the parents, not to the state. So we believe in school choice, 100%. And I think most inner city parents would believe in that. And there are many other values that we hold. I just wanted to list a few. This Sunday, I'm actually preaching on voting your biblical values. Our board wanted me to do that before the election, so this Sunday we're hoping to convert a few more people over to our side by teaching what the Bible says about the values that we hold dear, and we want our country to keep holding dear. I want to live in America. I don't want to live in Venezuela. You know what I mean? So that's not where I want to live. Or raise my kids or now my granddaughter in Venezuela. I don't want that. I want to be in America. So we're excited about what God is doing in the city of Reading. There's a lot of things happening in the city of Reading that are positive. I know if you read the Reading Eagle, it's all negative. It's not quite that bad. Reading is a great mission field. We've been there 30 years. We lived there in the city, so we know what everything is about. And we see a lot of things that God is doing in the city. Our church is growing. And our church, as I mentioned, is growing, so we're excited. I didn't want to speak for too long because we do have a special speaker tonight, but I wanted to open it up. If anybody had any questions, because you don't know me, I don't know you, so I thought I would introduce myself, talk a little bit, and see if anybody has any questions, whether it's about the city, about Hispanic community, about myself, I don't know. My only claim to fame, let me just throw this out there, is that my freshman year of college, my senior roommate was Christian Leinbach. So a lot of you know Christian Leinbach. He told me to tell you all hi. He couldn't be here tonight, but he was my roommate my senior year. My freshman year, he was a senior. So we go way, Christian and I go way back.
Well, yeah, Joe Farley. I just want to know if everybody here is aware of the life change coming up. You ready? This next month in October? I'm not sure of the exact date, but please look it up. It's called the life change.
The light change, yes. They usually do that the first Sunday in October is when it's usually done, yes. Yeah, I would think I'm not positive of the date. I used to be on the board of Crisis Mercy Ministries years ago, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, just for the record, I don't know if everybody here is aware, but Chris Leinbach has gone on the phone with Governor Wolf. He did buy into the contract tracing situation with the governor, which 99.9 of us are against. 99% of us are against that because it's just delving into our privacy and it's like too much control from the Wolf administration. So if you ever take Chris up on that, we need to get rid of this contact tracing because it's bad. Trust me, it's bad.
Bravo to you for being brave enough to talk about values in the church. The churches are running scared because they don't want to get church against each other. So have you, against each other, that have different points of view. Right. But I think there's a way, and I think all Christians can. Have you had blowback on that? Have you had to navigate her feelings?
Yeah, more in the past, when I was young and a little bit not as cautious, and the people didn't know me as well. You know, I think obviously I've grown with me; they know who I am. But lately, no, we obviously that's what they've always voted. It's kind of like that's what we always do. We're going to keep doing it. But we've changed a lot of minds in our church and a lot of our people. I would say that over, I'm going to just, to be conservative, over 80% of our people are very conservative. And so they're a little more aggressive than I am. I have to calm them down. I'll bring some of the beers so you can beat them. You'll enjoy them. But yeah, we try to keep politics out of the church. We talk more about values, and whenever something comes up like partial birth abortion, we of course talk about that. Who votes for that? 99%. Well, it's usually the Democrats. Who votes for the pain-free? I forget what the fetal, the pain-free that bill that as a baby's 20 weeks you can feel pain. Who voted against that? Who voted for the bill that would save the life of a baby that's aborted but lives? Who voted not to save that baby? That's unbelievable to me. That 100% of the Democratic Party, well, maybe not 100%. I think Casey had a spine that day and voted against that one, but he often votes with the liberals.
I just want to say, I am thrilled to see a pastor who has the courage to preach values voting. And I just want to salute you for that. But my question is, I'm sure there's many churches represented by if you were a congregant, what would you say to your pastor so they would have the courage to do what you're doing?
Well, it's really, for me, it's black and white in the Bible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, for example, pro-life, and I'm going to talk about, Psalm 139, where God says he weaves us in the womb. We're going to talk about Jeremiah 1:3 or 1:5, where Jeremiah says that God chose him when he was in the womb. And so it's life in the womb. So it's real clear, biblically, marriage, obviously, it's a man and a woman, and then if you go, Jesus then said it as well. So it goes beyond just the Old Testament. You say, well, that's the Old Testament. But Jesus actually confirmed it. And it's one man and one woman. And then Paul did in Ephesians 5. He talks about the role of the husband and the role of the wife. There is no third or fourth or fifth or, the whole gamut today of genders. So there are only two genders, and that's science. I mean, I think the science deniers are on the other side now. When the creature is not a baby, what's in the womb is not a baby, and there's more than two genders. Well, that's a science denier. More, they call us science deniers. They deny science because that's science. And so I talk about all that kind of thing now. Obviously, I don't encourage people to vote Republican. Unless they ask me on the side, Pastor, how are you voting? Or who are you voting for? Wait, I'm going to tell them who I'm voting for. And some people, want me to help them and guide them in that. But our people pretty much are on their own now. They're recruiting people to vote conservative values. But I don't have a lot of blowback, because people trust me in our church, so they know I'm not going to come up with some crazy idea, and I'm going to base it all on Scripture. It'll be this Sunday coming up, so I'll have a handout, and so maybe next time I'll bring that handout over here if you can see it.
One more question?
Thank you. Last question?
Thank you, Pastor, for your words of encouragement. And I commend you too, as everyone does here. I know there are a lot of different faiths that are probably in our presence today. One thing I would encourage is if there's a meeting of pastors of all faiths somehow to get together, because I feel as though they need that encouragement that you seem to have in your heart. They need not to be afraid, as that we're told in the Bible not to be the most times, right? But I also was curious if your church comes to Planned Parenthood and prays once a month or as a congregation, or do you ever do that? And if so, what day? Or
yeah, we don't. Our people, most of our people work, and so they're not available during the day for the most part. I was involved with the Crisis Pregnancy Center, the Mercy community, for about 10 years. I'm still involved, but not on the board anymore. But we do have pastors' meetings. Michael Calker is the head of the Conference of Churches. And the Conference of Churches, of course, includes the whole gamut. And so you have, Unitarians that have, Black Lives Matter sign in front of their building. And then you have people on the other side of it. So he had a hard job to do that. And I belong to another group that's a little more conservative, so we can talk a little more freely. We meet at the Hope Rescue Mission, which is, you've never been to Hope Rescue Mission. Well, hopefully you don't have to go there as a client, but if you go there, it's amazing what Rob Churchy has done in that place. It's amazing. Reaching people for the Lord too there. But it's sad that we've become so divided even with churches. So, I have the opportunity to influence our congregation for God's kingdom, but also to make value voting important. So I do that, and hopefully they encourage other people to do the same. I don't want to take more of your time. Thank you so much for tonight, and hopefully.
had a nice chat with the pastor, and he will be coming to some of our other meetings and bringing some of his people. He wanted to come here to obviously meet us, find out what we're all about. We didn't bite, so good chance that he will be back. But this is how we need to spread the word to all areas of the community. One of our members just brought something to my attention, and I asked him to come up to just mention it. Chris Smith, give a hand for Chris Smith.
Good evening. Sam gave me permission to give you a quick interruption to this evening's agenda. Can't hear you. I need to put it closer.
That's better.
I have a good friend who just heard Mark Levin, I'm not sure whether it was TV or radio, saying that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has approved the Green Party candidate on the ballot this November to be dropped, and that, as you realize, will help one of the other two candidates on the ballot. Secondly, the mail-in ballots do not need to be in until 3 days after November the 3rd. And finally, it blows to my mind, the signature on the mailed-in ballot does not need to match the signature that and Mark is encouraging us all to get on the phone, get on the floor, whatever, and contact our senators and congressmen to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. When Chris told me this, I figured I didn't want to give you the bad news. I said, how about you doing it, Chris? Thank you, Chris. Folks, up next is Reverend C.L. Bryant. We booked the Reverend through Freedom Works in February. He is well known. He's out there running the circuit and so forth. We're so pleased that we were able to get him. He brought with him, I think, Sarah Anderson, I believe is brought along Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for coming. I'm going to just read part of his bio. Reverend C.L. Bryant is recognized as one of America's most dynamic orators, and he is a highly sought after speaker, motivator, activist, organizer, gospel preacher. Formerly, the NAACP chapter president for Garland, Texas, now a senior fellow at Freedom Works. He has spent 37 years in pastoral ministry and has been on missionary trips to South America, including the Amazon. Creator and star of the Crystal Dove award-winning movie, Runaway Slave. The host of syndicated radio program C.L. Bryant Show. Native of Shreveport, Louisiana. He is a frequent guest on Fox News, The Blaze, CNN, MSNBC, and syndicated radio. Married to Jane Pruitt Bryant, and a father of 4 and grandfather of 12. C.L. addresses. A lot of birthdays to go to, don't you? CL addresses current issues of race, politics, education, among many other trending topics. C.L. Bryant brings a unique outlook to issues facing our nation. Folks, I'm honored that he was able to come here tonight, and he's willing to come here tonight. Let's all give him a big welcome.
Sam, and to all of you who are here tonight, God bless you all. I want to thank you for the invitation here to the Berks County Patriots meeting. I brought with me my colleague, Sarah Anderson, who came down from Washington, D.C. And I want to thank God for a great night in America, here in Pennsylvania. I'll leave here tomorrow morning and head across country to Utah, to Salt Lake, and Albany. I crisscross the nation almost once a month, every month. Freedom Works. In case you don't know who we are the largest grassroots organization in the nation. We boast nearly 6 million activists on the ground, just like you. And if If you haven't had a chance to know who we are, go to freedomworks.org. Freedomworks.org and become a part of a movement that I've been a part of for 11 years. In fact, 11 years ago, on the 9th of this month, 1.5 million Americans descended upon Washington, D.C., and we were very angry about taxation without representation. And friends, it's just about time for us to get mobilized again. And so, download the C.L. Bryant Show app. My show's on every day across the nation on Red State Talk Radio, coast to coast, border to border. We're the largest talk platform in the country. And of course, follow me on Twitter at RevCL Bryant. The movie Runaway Slave was a Crystal Bell Award winner, and everybody was in it, from Dr. Thomas Sowell, Andrew Breitbart. Everybody was in the film. Glenn Beck's in the show, in the movie. And so download that and be sure to take a look at it. How many of you know that America is the greatest nation on the face of the planet? The world has ever known. Today, Sarah and I were doing shooting some video at Independence Hall, right around the corner from the Liberty Bell. We were there. And friends, I've heard a lot said here today about various things and how there's racial tension and all that type of thing going on. But I noticed something. And I want to talk to you about it tonight. I've noticed something. When Sarah and I were at the Liberty Bell, Independence Hall, when I rode my Uber from the airport to my hotel, when I was in the hotel restaurant last night, when I'm here, I'm the only black guy in this room. Guess what I don't feel? Racial tension. I walked into my Walmart down the streets of my neighborhood, which is a decent neighborhood, very good neighborhood. I don't feel any racial tension. I wave at the cops who serve our community. They wave back. But you know when I find racial tension is odd. You're gonna recognize it in a minute, I tell you. When I go home, turn on the television. Well, you doggone. Racial tension is being programmed into America to make me think, to make you think, that somehow we have this massive racial problem in this country, when it doesn't exist in this room, Americans. It does not exist on the entire planet. Don't let them lie to you. Don't let them program your children to believe those lies, because that's what's happening. They want them to believe that our nation is in chaos. They want them to believe, they want you to believe that you should somehow be afraid of me. Friends, I want to share some statistics with you that you need to know. There's some things that you need to know. There's some things that you need to know to say. And the first thing you need to know to say in these days, and you have to understand that I ride with police officers around the country, sometimes deep nights. And you need to know this. You need to know that while you sleep peacefully in your beds at night, there are your sons, your daughters, your nephews, your nieces who are out there seeing the underbelly of a society that is going mad right in front of your eyes. And friends, you had better not forget this. That when you see an attack upon a police officer, they're not attacking that officer. They're attacking you. You are the people who empower that officer. When he gets out of his car and holds up his hand to stop traffic in the middle of an intersection, that is not a man standing
my fellow citizens. It's you! It's you who have given him that power to do that. He is your servant. And he is underpaid. Whenever we allow anarchy, tyranny, to rule the streets of this nation, then, friends, you are inviting the demise, the downfall of a nation you all applaud is the greatest nation on the face of the planet, the greatest success story the world has ever known. Pastor, I was happy to see you stand up and talk. You remind me of a passage of scripture that all pastors and any of you who are congregants in a church need to embrace. Luke 4:18. Jesus talks about what he did. And pastor, he came as an example to every preacher that would come after him. And I think the closest that ever to him was Paul. But in that passage of scripture, you'll find, my friends, that he said he came to set the captives free. Pastor, I have run into many a pastor across the nation, and I've preached in many churches. I've preached, pastored churches for nearly 40 years. I'm 64 years old. And I need to correct one thing in my bio. I lost my wife back in February to breast cancer, and so just trying to rebuild. She and I were warriors together in that for a long time. For 46 years, she and I were together. We were since I was 18. And so it's a profound loss in my life to lose your life's partner like that. But this is what I've seen, Pastor. When I preach in churches and I bring up politics, or I go to a church and the pastor's there and he knows who I am. And he says, hey, Bryant, let me pull you over here just a minute. And, hey, listen, you're not gonna get really political, are you? I said, I don't know, I guess we'll see. My point being is, Pastor, I don't have much use for people who are pastors, for that matter. I'll be very bold about it. That's why the other pastors don't invite me back to their church. But that's okay. If you don't understand that your role as a pastor in the world that is controlled by the Caesars of this world, when your congregants go back out into that world and you have not prepared them for the Caesars of this world, you're doing them a disservice and you're certainly not following the example of Christ. Because when he came to this earth, he came to set the captives free. They were the Pharisees and the Sadducees that you've heard about in Sunday school. But who were they? They were both the political and the religious power in Judea at that time. They controlled it all. And the people kowtowed to them. But when Jesus came on his mission, he took them on. Head on. He took on the religious and he took on the political structure of his day. Got him crucified. This is my point, Pastor. And this is what many pastors forget. And this is what they are afraid of, Pastor. They're afraid of the crucifixion. When you take on religious powers, you could lose your church, like I lost mine. When I made my film and started hanging out with tea parties and groups like you, yeah, I lost my church. I just built it. Brand new, beautiful $1.7 million facility. It was wonderful. Strange, Pastor, how they seemed to like Obama over me. How is that possible? When I went to visit them when they were sick, got their kids out of jail, married my young folks off when they got married, baptized, and converts, and prayed for them.
to death it is. Barack would never do any of that. But they still chose him over me. Why? Because I told him he's not anything like us. So the crucifixion came. I wasn't afraid of it because I knew that without the crucifixion, my friends, there cannot be a resurrection. In America, we need a resurrection of American principles. When I think about things that we must learn, and the things that many times we get twisted. You listen to the news, you think that black folks were 60% of the whole population. You listen to LeBron James and Oprah Winfrey, two mega wealthy people. You think that those open seats are black people in this country. It can't be. There's some things that you need to know. There's some things that you need to say. You need to say them. You need to state these facts. Black folks in America only represent 12.5% of the entire population. Every black man, woman, boy, and girl. If you cut out those who weren't born in this country, then that black population goes down to 10.5%. Do you know how much of that 10.5% represents black men? 4.5%. 4.5%. So LeBron James has to be an idiot to print that. You couldn't easily wipe out 4.5% of any population if there was open seats on black men. It's just not true. I sit on one of the boards of the president, wanted to, I'm a founding member of Black Voices for Trumpet. The one thing that you need to know about your president is that he does not suffer fools. He is a very straight shooting man. And he's a man who wants you to shoot straight with him. Oh, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, but he speaks very plainly. Pastor, I might add. And if you're going to be in this company, you understand that he's truly a man's man. And the reason he doesn't like to wear masks is because he feels the American president should never show fear. As the figure about that. That's the president. But when we fall into the design that has been laid for us as Americans, and there is a design that is laid for us as Americans, you must understand that the fundamental change that they expected to have with Hillary Clinton in their hoping and in their understanding would become president, that fundamental change fell on its face. And it's because of you, but they never forgot that that's what they wanted to do. But they need to understand it's because of you. Coming up here on November 3rd, and that's tragic news that we just heard from our friend who gave us the report on the voting statuses and counting ballots. Friends, there's only one election day. That's when the votes are due. And Americans, if you let them shove you around like this, they will not stop. It will continue. In fact, they have shoved you to this point at this time. That leads me to ask you, my Caucasian friends, what happened to you? You used to be very bold. You used to be very forthright. And you were not sheepish at all. What has happened to you? I speak all over this country. And I see people in places like this all the time who come to the our meetings, come to these meetings, and we leave rah, rah, rah. But then we become again our conservative selves, which means that we're not used to getting out into the street and protesting because we're busy making money. We're busy paying our bills. We're busy working. It's just not us to get out and do this. But hey, folks, for the next 46, 48, 46 days, you'll get busy. You need to get off your behind. I'd like to say something else. You need to get off your behinds. You need to get out in the street. You need to knock some doors. And we need to make sure that we chase Nancy Pelosi out of the House of Representatives. Nancy Pelosi, America, we could be back on track to restoring sanity in this nation if we can do it, and if you remain true to who you are as citizens of this country. There is something that the socialist Democrats and the Marxists in this country have found out about you, and they're trying to use the old rope-a-dope tactic to join you. And all of you look like you're just about my age bracket, so you'll remember what the rope-a-dope is. I speak on college campuses, and they look at me like, what? Let me tell you something. There's something they've learned about you Americans. And they're trying to use it against you. Don't let them. They learned it from the plantations, the slave plantations in the South. I'm a Louisianian by birth, and I love the South. It's where I grew up. And I know that all of you are perhaps from above the Mason-Dixon line. We do things a little bit differently, but we're all Americans, right? Right. Now, what they've learned is this. The slave does not necessarily seek freedom. The slave seeks comfort. A roof that doesn't leak. More food in their bowl. A softer bed to lie on. An Obama phone. The slave will gladly, in many cases, trade his freedom for the comfort. And they've learned that you will too. They've also learned that your children will surely do it. Offer them free education. Offer them free health care. Offer them free housing. Do you know what free housing looks like? Where everybody has a roof over their head? Go to the worst tenement in Philadelphia, and you'll see what free housing looks like. Everybody equally poor. Free medicine. Everybody equally controlled by a system that is in control of your health. There is no better way to control a human being than to control their means of remaining healthy. Free health care for Americans means slavery. Free education. We're not turning out good students now. Everybody equally stupid. And basically, that's what we're seeing in America at this present time. I have 6 grandsons. There's a farm in my property in my family that's been there since right after slavery. And it broke my heart. It's down there, got all kind of tools down there. My grandfather, my daddy taught me how to use those tools, weed eaters and all that kind of stuff. I gave my grandson an example of how to weed eat around that post there and pour a little stuff there so the grass doesn't go back. Now, do you realize this 16-year-old kid did not know how to operate a weed eater? I was shocked. Then I asked a friend of mine, another preacher friend of mine, he said, you know, my grandson doesn't know either. I blame their fathers. I don't expect their mothers to teach them that. What has happened to the men in our houses? How come they're not men anymore? These young men that you see with their chest all poked out, talking about they want respect, 9 times out of 10, you'll find that they did not have a father figure in that house to push them back in line. In America today, we have much too much estrogen around young men who need testosterone. All right. Slave doesn't seek freedom. Slave will gladly trade his freedom for comfort. But America, we stand on the brink of not necessarily becoming slaves, but we stand on the brink of becoming prisoners. There's a difference in the slave and the prisoner. The reason our founding fathers created and penned these words in the first paragraph of our Constitution the day 233 years ago that Constitution was signed by men who said these words to one another. We pledge our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honor. What would make wealthy men, men who had everything to lose, hanging together, pledge to each other their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor? Before you is the son of a World War II vet, the grandson of a World War I vet, the great-grandson of a vet of the Spanish-American War. I have a great affinity for our nation's flag. I have a great affinity for the word patriotism. What would make them do that over something that was simply a whisper at the time of our nation's inception? Something that all of us have always held dear, and we may be the last generation to ever remember what a Thanksgiving in America was like. Yes. What a Christmas in America was like. What it actually means to hear those words over the river and through the woods. Your grandmother's house we go. That America. I want it back. And we can have it back if you'll stand up, Americans, if you will be who you are and stop being cowed down by these words. Racism. I grew up in the South. I've known racists. What these kids, what you're letting them get away with calling racism is absolutely ludicrous. I know racism. What we're seeing is not racism in America. Is at the brink where we need to embrace the words of our founders. Those words that I was going to allude to. We want to create a more perfect union. Which means that the words that you need to learn to tell people are these words. The founders knew that the union that was being created was not perfect when they created it. Because they put in the Constitution, we're doing this in order to form a more perfect union which would be perpetual. Down through the ages, here I am, the great-grandson of former slaves. And I do this not only in the North, but I do this all over the South. And friends, I challenge each and every one of you, as I challenge everyone that I come in contact with. This thing called white guilt is a tool designed to manipulate people and their emotions. Now look, I know this because I helped write the plan for it. 33 years ago, I was the president the NAACP in Garland, Texas, the magnet schools in Garland, right now. Magnet schools in Garland. And there it exists right now. It came into existence under my watch. Some of the streets that were renamed in Garland, Texas came into existence under my watch. But this also came into existence under my watch by leaving the NAACP. Let me tell you why. Pastor, you talk about it. Benjamin Hooks, former director of the National NAACP, said to me a directive one day. I was the minister of evangelism at the time at my church. And he said, Bryant, I want you to go and speak at a pro-choice rally. Here I am, a Christian pastor, minister of evangelism. Oh, wait, was I going to do that? So I sent back, we didn't have cell phones and all that kind of stuff then. Not 30 years ago. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry, I had to decline. Now, folks, my star was rising in this organization. In fact, by now, I probably would have been the director of the organization myself. But it abruptly began to go down. And I told my wife, I told Jane, I said, listen, they don't want to just control the agenda. They want to control me and use me as a tool to control these people. And as you can see for yourself, the NAACP right now, 30 years later, is a working arm of the Democratic Party. Pastor, don't be reluctant to tell people that is true. We're truth tellers. We're God talkers, but we're truth tellers. And anything within the parameters of that truth, you say it. Don't be afraid of the crucifixion, pastors. I know there might be others in you, but don't be afraid of the crucifixion, because there's always a resurrection. God has expanded my pulpit in ways that I could have never dreamed. Internationally, certainly nationally. Don't be afraid of the crucifixion. The resurrection of America will be much more glorious if pastors like those who came before us in the revolution would have the courage to stand and lead their congregations against the ensuing of those who were to destroy the republic. Don't be afraid of the crucifixion. Because without it, there is no resurrection. My friends, the secret of America is to create a place where you can make money. This is the greatest wealth-producing machine the world has ever known. Whether you want to make a lot or a little, America is that place to do it. Where you came from, America is a place that you can be who you want to be. As long as you come here to be an American, and that's what we must demand of everyone coming into this nation. I'm going to leave something with you, and then I do want to take some questions myself. Definitions equals destinations. The definitions in this country are being changed radically. Gender, marriage, family, even God, life. All of those words are being redefined. And they're not just redefining them because we were wrong in the definition of what they meant before. They're redefining them so that they can direct the country to a different destination.
Right.
A fundamental change. Beware that the words that they are changing are the very pillars of our civilization as Americans. My friends, definitions lead to destinations. We have a generation of young people who are 5 to 17. All they've known is the agenda of the gay community. That's all they've known. So, all they've known is that abortion is a good thing. And then you send them off to school. They're there with the teacher for 8 hours. They come home, they eat dinner with you, if they eat dinner with you, and don't go to their rooms. You see them maybe for 2 or 3 hours. They play their games and go to sleep. They go back to that teacher for another 8 hours. You don't know what's going on at school. You know why I know? Because PTAs and all that kind of thing is almost default. Parents don't know what their kids are being taught. And you wonder why your parents, your children look at you like you're crazy. It's because they're being told you're crazy. But don't say anything. When you get home, just eat your dinner, play your games, and come back tomorrow. We'll indoctrinate you some more. You send your kid off to college. They come home at Thanksgiving, you look across the table, and I'm doggone. Karl Marx is not sitting across the table. That has stuck. Having my own son, I had to get his mechanism clear there. Clear the mechanism. Yeah. Definitions lead to destinations. I'm tired of seeing these high-priced athletes, pampered athletes, misleading young people. Pastor, I hate to disappoint you, but I am a major Cowboy fan. Oh, yeah, I've been one. In fact, I've been around long enough before that there wasn't any Saints in Louisiana when I was a kid. Yeah, so Dallas was just 100 miles down the road, 180 miles down the road from where I grew up, Shreveport, Louisiana. And so we were all Cowboy fans, loving boys. Go boys. Oh, I do like the you call them Eagles up here. Never heard anybody say it like that until I came up here. The Eagles. Wow, that's really weird. I really love the Bryant. That takes me to my final point I want to talk to you with tonight. There can be no equal outcome, friends. There never has been, never will be. Not even since they would have been out with the equal outcome. The reason you play the Super Bowl, they have a winner. Winners and losers have always been a part of human existence. And they will always be. Those who lose must learn to win. That is where this election comes in. For the first time in a long time, President Trump, BJT, before he was candidate Trump, a lot of us did. He wasn't racist then. I don't know when he became one. Al Sharpton used to go with his hand out all the time. So did Jesse. Ask Mike Tyson about BJT, about the president. He'll tell you. He's the only guy that kept up with him. He was in prison. Ask Sean Puffy Combs, you know him as Puff Daddy. He'll tell you Donald Trump loaned him money when he was trying to get his own record deal. When did he become a racist? He became a racist when he started talking about making this nation great. Yep. Oh, that's when he became a racist. That's when you became racist. When you started saying, hey, that's the thing I want for our nation. That's the thing I want for my family. I became an Uncle Tom. Yep. Some very, very nasty words that are reserved for us deplorables. I was proud to be one then, and I'm proud to be one now. comes with us understanding that a village cannot raise a child. It takes parents. It takes parents to raise children. There are people in the village that you don't want here. Hillary Clinton, other folks, mind control that she could have over your children if you said they let you believe or you grasp the understanding that it takes a village. People outside of your scope of influence to raise your children. So many Americans bought into it. You better unbuy it. You better take it back. Folks, school systems operate on it. They operate on the brother's keepers, principal and pastor. I know this would be something maybe it rubbed you the wrong way, but I got to say it, brother. I'm sorry. You may never invite to your church, but that's okay. I'm glad you're here tonight. And I want to become your friend. One of the biggest lies that has ever been propagated, and the church has really helped spread this. It's the idea that we are our brother's keeper. Those words were uttered by the first murderer on this earth, according to Scripture. His name was Cain. And he uttered those words in sarcasm back to God. When God, who knows all things, wanted to know his heart and what he would say when asked a question. How did Cain respond when God said, "Your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground. Where is he? Am I? It's not my day to keep him. My brother's keeper." And we've turned that into some kind of universal socialist slogan. It's not. You don't want your brother keeping you. You don't want to be kept by anybody. Because then they determine if you're kept, how you're kept, how long you're kept. You can be your brother's helper. You can be your brother's friend. But Americans, what they're trying to turn us into is people who are kept. Like big government. And they use our own phrases that we have used incorrectly. To say, well, aren't you a good Christian? Aren't you your brother's keeper? No, I'm not. Shocked him. He's his own keeper. If he gets in trouble, I'll help him. You got to keep the set. That's the mentality, my friends, that has to be bred back into an independent people. That's what has made us, that independent thought. That's what has made us the greatest nation on the face of the planet. And then, I'm a Baptist preacher, so if I do that, that means nothing. Just kidding. Friends, when we look at our nation today, we need to understand that no nation can be as strong or stronger as the people, the citizens' mindset. If they weaken your mindset with this coronavirus thing, when you are lied to, and I got to tell you, you'll be very ticked off after November 3rd when you find out that this was all the statistics are coming out that, hey, the same amount of old people who were in nursing homes died from the flu. Basically last year and the year before. They did during COVID. You know, the statistics that we're not looking at is how many people died last year at that same time of sickness. You know what happens every year? People die every year. And they have us afraid of each other. And listen, if your health is compromised, I understand that. You can't take that time. I understand that. But friends, speaking for me, I'd rather be dead than to live my American life like this. independent spirit. They're trying to take it away from our hearts. And yes, Sam, you were absolutely right. We are in the battle for the American soul. The Republic is to be saved. It must be saved. I speak across this nation, and many times there are unfriendly hands that I shake. Dangerous situations even sometimes that I'm in. It's always good to know there are people just like you, somewhere in America, praying for the messenger and the message. I'll ask you to pray for the president, his family, Melania, Barron. Pray for Eric, Don Jr. Pray for Ivanka. Pray for Tiffany. All of them by name. These are dangerous times. They have done everything they possibly can to destroy this president. First they laugh at you. Then they ridicule you. Then they stop laughing. And they come after you. There will not be rest in American streets, regardless of who wins. The presidency. I stand before you, my fellow Americans, my fellow patriots, my fellow citizens of this great land. My warning to you and my encouragement to you this night on Constitution Day, be ready. Be ready to answer the question of what are you prepared to do. Not what you're prepared to talk about. Be ready. And I must finish tonight with a question that all of you must answer. Not only for yourselves, but for your posterity. If you answer this question and then you act upon your answers, Americans, we can ensure the day will come that our children will enjoy the America that we enjoy. But this is the question that I have asked for 11 years across this nation. And tonight I ask it to you. Are there any patriots left in Pennsylvania? Is there any patriots?
We have time for one or two questions. Anybody have something they want to throw out? Come on. Someone's in the back.
Transition, integrity, budget. And we'll right along your last slide. I want to say a few things about that.
Okay. The transition. And there's several that are going on in this country and as we speak. And friends, please understand that there's nothing that needs to be changed in our nation, especially our monuments.
Correct.
Do you realize that from the first time that we enjoyed any other amendments or anything of that nature, those monuments were right where they were when the Civil Rights Act was signed? 64 and 65. We can't tear down our past. And friends, why punish ourselves for our past? You do realize that when you walk into that room of the past, it always had that room, that 3-room house we live in. Past, present, and future. We love to spend time in that room of the past for some reason. But you know what? There's not a picture on the wall. There's not any furniture in that room. There's nothing you can possibly move around in that room of the past. You just remember it was there. That's all. And then we punish ourselves for what was in our past. It's a twisted and deranged and decreased culture. And that's what's happening right now. They have you in a transitional state of mind where you have come from independent Americans to codependent Americans being led around like sheep and herded into corrals, your homes. They told you to leave your job. The president asked 3 questions that have never been answered. They were this: if the masks work, why did we have to close down our businesses? Never answered. And if the masks don't work, and in his words, why the hell are we wearing it? It's plain and simple. It's just common sense. If the masks work, why did we put a halt to the greatest economic boom America has ever known? If the masks work. And if they don't, the hell are we wearing? Never answered questions. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
What is your opinion
Repeat the question. We couldn't hear it.
I think that he said, what's my opinion of the Southern Poverty Law Center? Myself, Herman King, God rest his soul, who's a mentor of mine. And hey, by the way, those of y'all who saw that photograph of Herman with me sitting right next to him, photographed around the world, sent around the world, I want all of you to know that Herman did not have COVID in Tulsa that night. All of us had been with the president. We all had to be tested. You're going to find the president. And then you are in what's called the bubble. You're under security. And none of us in that picture had COVID, to answer your question. Southern Poverty Law Center would paint me as a racist. Me as a racist. Liars. That is my opinion of them. I hope you agree with me. We can be hard friends. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What about all this talk about reparations?
I'm glad you asked. You see, again, common sense. How is it possible that a person who has never been a slave gets paid back for being a slave from people who never owned a slave?
Right.
No story. I'll share with you really quickly. Family down home in Grand Canyon, Louisiana, where our family farm is. They call them McBrides. And a couple generations ago, one of the McBrides, according to the legend, shot Papa's mule, old Jack, killed him dead. Caused a hardship on the family because Jack couldn't fly. He dead. Grandpa cursed the McBrides and told all of his children. Great-grandpa told all his children, don't you ever have nothing to do with the McBrides. And so it's passed down to 2 generations down there. We went to the same church, or they did with my grandparents. Bryant, the Salter, sat on that side, and McBride sat on that side. I wasn't even supposed to talk to girls. Nothing. One day I asked Grandma, I said, why can't I talk to her? That's a pretty girl there. She said, those McBrides, according to what I know, Grandma didn't really know the story. Shot Papa Mule. And they created hardship on this family. And we don't have nothing to do with it. Pass it on down to me. Until finally I realized this is stupid. I never knew my great-grandpa. I certainly didn't know his mule Jack. And I don't know why I hate them at Bryant. But Grandma said I should. Reparations. That's what that's all about. Something that happened to Grandma in the past that I hate nothing. Payment money can never correct our past. Only thing we can do is start to right your marriage. That's right. Go forward. God bless you.
Okay, great. We're going to wrap this up in a couple minutes. You'll be able to see it. Linda, you want to do the 50-50? Folks, please don't get up. Stay in your seats for just a couple more minutes. Linda's going to also do a prayer. Someone?
The 50-50. So the first 50-50 drawing will be for this lovely flag donated to us by one of our members.
Who do you have to pick out? Somebody needs to pick the tickets.
Yeah.
Here, I'll hold this. Okay, one at a time. Let's go for this.
Number 383839.
383839. 383839. 383839. Going once. 383839. Okay. Need to be here to collect it. Hold another one. Right, someone coming? We got a winner? We got a winner? Okay, great.
This one is for the Earth House, donated by John I.
I got it. What's number?
384288.
384288. 384288.
For the Earth House.
384288. Wave your hand if you have a winner. There we go. I thought so.
Grand prize, we collected $350. So half of that would be $175. I think that's right, Jim. $175. That's okay, let's put out six. Winner. Big winner. $383781 for $175.
Just one quick announcement. Next month is candidate night. We have a lot of the candidates here. This is your chance to find out what they stand for, so you can be an educated, informed voter on November 3rd. Okay, with it, close our meeting in prayer.
Lord, we heard a lot of good things tonight by our Reverend, our pastor, We hope you'll take it to heart and do what you ask. Step up and be a patriot. And Lord, bless everyone on the way home, keep everyone safe. Until next month.
Well, and we have